Hi everyone, I'm Stephen and welcome to Audio Nautica. I picked up this Tektronix TM504 test set off eBay, and as you can see it's come stuffed with plugins. I've been keeping an eye out for some more plugins to supplement my existing TM5006. As you can see, I've only got a couple of plugins with it. So yeah, I've been looking out for, in particular I wanted a meter. Anyway, this one came up on eBay. I was very happy with the price. I think it was about $530 including freight. So remember, we got to pay an absolute fortune to get things shipped out from the USA to Australia, and most of this gear is in the USA. So I thought, given that it's got a very good 40 megahertz FG504 function generator, it's got a auto-ranging DMM and a high power supply, I thought that was a pretty good price. So I've already tested these modules in my TM506. So I didn't actually really need a TM504. If I had found one before this TM506 came up, I probably would have got one. But it came up now. And really, you know, the price, I mean, this was worth it just for the modules, let alone the frame. So this will now serve as a spare frame. I'll probably put it over on the big workbench, which will give me a bit more flexibility. But also, if one of these frames dies, then I've still got the other one, and I won't be in trouble with no working test gear. So I need to dive into this frame now and check it out to make sure that it's working. Okay guys, so I've got the covers off this case and it's looking pretty clean inside actually, but it's also clear that it's going to be an absolute pain to disassemble it to the point of being able to individually test transistors and capacitors, which ideally one would do. But it does look like it's in pretty clean condition, so I'm going to take a different tack. I'm going to bring it up slowly on the variac, and I've also got the dim bolt tester as well, so if anything catastrophic is going on it should catch it. And yeah, so I'll bring it up that way, and once I've done that, my intention is to meter out the voltage rails, make sure that they are all what they are supposed to be, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so I should have mentioned, and I forgot to, but this unit obviously has been reconfigured for 240 volts AC before I did any of this. So I wound the power up and nothing catastrophic happened. So I'm now going to measure the voltages. Now, so the voltages will all come out on these card edge connectors, which obviously the modules interface with. And there's a left and a right hand side, or an A side and a B side, as they are according to the diagram. So there's this pin assignments sheet here. Now, trying to measure two sides like that, there's just too much risk of shorting something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the B side, which is the right hand side on one connector, and I'll measure the A side on another connector. Theoretically, if I pushed really hard enough, I could still short prongs, because these prongs on either side are not meant to be shorted together. But you know, I'd have to be pretty silly to do that. So if I turn the unit on, theoretically, if I measure between here and here, that should be 25 volts AC. I'm getting 3.6 volts AC, which doesn't seem quite right. .6 volts AC, that does not seem correct. Let's try DC volts. The next one. This one here should be 11.5. And this should be its ground. 12.8 volts DC. So they are filtered, but they are not regulated. So that seems correct. Common. So fire should be 17.5 volts AC. On both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 19 volts AC, that seems correct. Volts AC, but this one was not getting 25 volts AC. 3.8 volts AC. I'll come back to that. 25 volts AC doesn't seem quite right. Anyway, the 11.5 is correct. 17.5 AC was pin 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's this one. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's this one. That seems correct. Okay. So 8. Is minus 33.5. Where is its common? Okay, I see. Yeah, so the plus 33.5 and the minus 33.5 share the same common. So 8 should be minus 33.5, so we put this back into DC. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the return is 9 on either side. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This one. Minus 30 volts DC. That's correct. So 9 is the return. So 12 should be plus 33.5. So currently on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 should be this one. Plus 30.8 volts DC. Seems kind of close enough. Okay. And then, so it's showing the 25 volt AC rail. That's the one I couldn't find. It's showing that it's on 13 as well. I'm wondering if it might be up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. No, it's not. 4.4 volts AC. It's reading there. So it would appear that for whatever reason we don't have the 25 volt AC winding. So I'll just have to have a consult of the schematic You think it should be fairly simple. 25 volt AC. According to this, it's just a winding. This is interesting. 25 volt CC, 1 and 1. And then 13. Oh, that's all a bit weird. Oh. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, I get it. So it's a separate winding for each connector. Look at that. So here's one winding here, which is for this connector. There's another winding there, which is for this connector. Another winding there, which is for this connector. Another winding there for this connector. So they are not commoned up. Now the winding that I did find was a 17.5 that's on pin 5. Okay, so yeah, the 17.5 winding, 17.5 volt AC winding is commoned between these three connectors, but the high voltage slot has its own winding. So I think I was measuring sort of between here, which is why I found the 17.5. But then all these 25 volt AC windings, they're separate windings for each slot. So that's why I was not finding the 25 volts AC. So to find that, what I need to do is just very, very carefully not short anything out. So that one there, and this one here. Yeah, 22 volts AC. .22 volts AC. 22 volts AC. Oops, now this one's just going to be a bit tricky. I'll just have to come in under there, like that. And this one. 22 volts AC. So I just need to check the 17.5 volts AC. The high power slot has its own separate winding, which I haven't checked that one, so that's pin 5. It should be this one and this one. Yeah, that's fine, reads as 19. Okay, so all of the voltages are there, which is really encouraging. So I think the next step is to put my cheapest plug-in module in and make sure that the module seems to work. I know some people, they have a sacrificial module that they use for testing this. So my cheapest module is actually this FG PS501-1, which I bought as a test module, to be honest, but I've actually found it to be really, really handy. I mean, I know these things are, you know, worth a dime a dozen and so on, but I kind of really like this dinky little voltage control because it's actually pretty darned accurate, like accurate to within probably, well, about 5 millivolts or so, just where the dial is. And it's just a really handy way of getting voltage because the other plug-in modules, there's no way of telling what the voltage is unless you have a multimeter hooked up to it. So I just find it handy to, you know, have this thing and not have to worry about what the voltage is. So anyway, if we put the Keithley back on the DC volts and we'll just plug that in there. Can we get this, let's get this where you can see things. Probably not, you'll just have to trust me that I'm doing this, but power on, output on, 4.95 volts DC. And here, 12 volts DC, fantastic. That's slot 1. Ooh. Slot 2. Power on, output on, 4.95 volts, correct. 12 volts out, fantastic. Slot number 3, power on, output on, 5 volts, cool bananas, 12 volts, fantastic. Now just the high power slot, power on, output on, 5 volts, 12 volts, fantastic. So that's looking really encouraging. So I'm going to put the covers back on this thing and I'll come back when I've done that. Okay guys, so here we are. We've got this Tektronix TM504 plus the 3 plugins that all came from the one purchase on eBay, all working. We can see the dual tracking power supply there is doing what it's meant to do. As I mentioned before, I tested all of the modules separately in my TM506, so quite happy with this indeed. So this basically will function as a spare frame for me, but I've put it on the middle of my other workbench just for convenience, so that if I'm working on kind of gear here, then I've got somewhere that I can plug these modules into. So it is kind of like sticking out in the middle of the workbench at the moment. So yeah, it takes up a fair bit of space. So I'm not sure whether that's where it will end up staying, but my main test setup is down there, which is where the scope, the Keithley and the TM506 is. So anyway, I think it'll be good to have this flexibility of being able to put plugins in there or there. You can never have too many tech mainframes, right? So anyway, I think we'll call this a win. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.